link that awareness to the design north node as an access point for your personality influence through the principle of what is called link nodes. Okay, link nodes. I'm going to point to where they are being pulled together or linked. That is in gate 2. No matter whether you have a planet opening up gate 2 or not, your own body graph, the north node on the design side, the south node on the personality side, this is the place where everything connects, where the magnetic monopole that pulls me to me and you to you is indeed connecting your conscious personality with your design, your physical form, your body. This is the only place that your database connects together, links, link nodes. Okay, so link this concept, link nodes. This is the link nodes, your north node and your south node. Ra says that stars, these data streams, how wonderful it is that we have nodes. I am so enthralled. It is the only word I can use with the wonder of what the nodes are, the magic of them. It took me 20 years, I guess that's the best way to say it, to get to a place of completion of my own synthesis process, synthesizing all of this information. The very heart of it, in terms of the way in which the illusion works, and the illusion of our life, it's all based on the nodes. So it is what gives us life. It is what gives our form its interactive potential with the environment, which is life. It aligns us to the trajectory that allows us to move with minimum resistance, so that it can enhance the quality of the life. It determines the very foundation upon which the mind will work, because it establishes the perspective, what we are here in this life to see, to experience, to meet, to grasp, to touch, to rub against. It's all there in the nodes. So physically, what I want you to remember especially is that the physical body, this is a place in space, whereas the personality is how we see as we walk along this place in space in our apparent reality. So oftentimes, because these are nodal oppositions in the wheel, you can actually really rub up against physically people who have either these nodes, you're walking the same path, or karmically, there's a connective linkage between you and the other if they happen to have the sun, earth in the exact line according to this human design system. So it is a karmic linkage, a direct karmic link. And the nodes are our keys to geometry, trajectory, and alignment. So geometry is our movement along this path in space, our movement, our line of geometry. Trajectory is the way in which we are experiencing what happens to be the way that we see and where we be, linking us, our personality mind, to the body. So Ra says that these nodes are everything, and yet there's nothing there. There's nothing. There's no planets. There's no filtering, not in the same way that there is when we talk about planets. So in human design, normally you see the linkages, the databases. Let me use the right term here. Normally in human design, we see that there is a database on either side that has an equality to the way in which we are seeing those gates and lines. And yet they are not equal, not by a mile, even personality to body. The form dominates. The form has greater weight. I mean, physically, doesn't it? You know, it physically has more weight because the body is the life. It is the life process. And when you experiment with your decision-making strategy honoring your body or your process as your own authority. If you have no inner authority, you have a process of authority. Everybody has their own authority or access to being their own authority. Once you experiment with that and see, what happens is that there's a shifting. There is a definite change to the way in which your frequency is showing up. And the way that that frequency shows up is that the monopole, the singularly pulling magnet, has the capability of holding your body and your mind more cleanly. Now, the mind is always going to have this process of duality, this and that. It is ma, mind to measure, the Maya. Okay, so it's always going to have this back and forth awareness principle, as well as its motivational frequency on the personality. That's how rave psychology works. There's always this and that. But when you come to the awareness of being your own authority, and you can, if you stick with it, and you experiment, you can see, poke your head through the sky and disengage the ego eye and be able to see, witness, be passenger consciousness. Once that happens, your frequency changes, it shifts. And when you get the frequency right, you're more likely to be able to be held consistently within the framework of the fundamental nature of your own reality in this capability of being your own authority. It is a mechanical truth that you can experiment, validate, test, and see. You don't have to believe Ra or me. And your stellar alignment is found through this design north node. It is the path that you're walking towards in this movement through space and time, physically. So they're nothing and yet everything. They're beautiful, aren't they? Ross says, if you have a sense of humor, nothing, nothing. And that's what makes it so sweet. They're not like Mars or Jupiter. They're not these objects. Now, these objects down here, see how small they happen to be? Think nuances and subtleties, accents. They are not the focus of the mind's process, nor the drive of the form principle, moon. They are not the grounding of one's personal awareness, nor the physical process of what it is to be incarnate as consciousness embodied in this present form, the binary consciousness of what it is to be a nine-centered human. So these objects that are filtering are actual bodies, celestial bodies. When you look at the planets, with the nodes, it's something else. They are not changing it. My mind says focusing in a direction or in a perspective and awareness. It's coloring the sea of the cosmic soup in your reality, as far as it's altering the information through our relationship to it. It's this frequency field touching us with the nature of whatever it happens to be that it's bringing into the fore of our reality. So if there is a planet there, pay attention. If there is a planet in the nodes, this is something that absolutely filters and affects your place in space, the body, or your personality, your awareness. And some people would teach that it is also a karmic influence, a karmic configuration of something. Let's say, as an example, you've got a planet that is in the south node conjunct. Then that would be something that is potentially, mind you, don't know for certain, but what I've heard from learning from other teachers is that it can bring forth something karmically from your past into this current reality. On the body side, the way that I would explain that would be it's a genetic lineage, an inheritance from your physical genetic ancestral DNA. The personality, I would say it's more of the soul's imprinting, your current blueprint, because the soul imprinting is always new. This base is always the same, but everything else changes because we are all movement, spiraling space and time. It's always changing. So touching us with the flavor of this or that planet, depending on these frequency fields vibrating, as we too vibrating along through the dynamics of being in incarnate, embodied in flesh. So if you look at your design and you see that there's those two holes in the sky, you could say, where it's an umbilical cord and also an escape tunnel. The Vedics would say that it's absolutely part of the karma as far as their awareness of these portals. And there's a whole story on Rahu and Ketu. You can Google if you want to see what that happens to be. Ra gave them great weight for having the awareness of these particular points in space. So your connectivity to the all that is happens through back in time and forward into the future through these nodes. It's an incredible place to be as far as the awareness of your fundamental nature, of your own reality, on the physicality, as you're seeing, witnessing personality, aware of where you be. Okay, so I rhyme things in order to help it stick. I say this is where you be physically, and this is how you see where you be. And that is the thing that's helped me so much differentiate in order to not only do my work, but also be aware personally and of my family, friends, what have you. It is through these nodes of the moon, portals in space, that our magnetic monopole does its job. They are the instruments in holding us together in the illusion of our separateness from the totality, yeah, in this reality. It shapes us and gives us our range and moves us along our line of geometry. It's all about movement as far as physically. And then what do we see? What is our awareness as we walk along this path and in this trajectory? For Ra, it was obvious that the nodes represent the centralizing force upon which life was built. And it is in this alignment of form in movement where we find we live our lives. So if you think of your incarnation cross as the eye of your life's purpose, where you live that is on a road, a path and trajectory where it is about we, because this is your connective field, not only of you with yourself, but also to everything that seems to be around you. In truth, it's all inside of you too, in addition to. So these represent the alignment of the we, of us in our form relationally to the outside world. So we see the shifting, shaping, molding of the form, the alignment of being a product of our environment. The environment is here, okay, on the physical body side, part of variables and radical transformations, if you want to learn more about environmental context, or where there is least resistance to the body in order to affect your longevity, the physical resonance that you have to a place in space as you're walking along this path in this trajectory. So all of this is in the nodes, physicality, and then the mental identity, as in your perspective of how do we see? And seeing, it is the whole movie. How do you see in this reality? This is the way that we can have a benefit to the we outside, not just ourselves, but also to the outside world. True, we're seeing the capability of being an outer authority. So outer authority simply means a unique, differentiated perspective given to an other without an agenda, as in, and if you're a projector, wide split like me, anything to do with the nature of your reality, having to do with awareness of the other, okay, especially, but projectors are the deepest like this, who is the other. You know what happens when you believe your mind, the ego I that lies, and you attempt to communicate from such a place of not self, as in, gimme, I want that, you know, do this for me, or let me do this for you, kind of energy, which is a quick path to bitterness. Or for you, if you're not a projector, whatever your frequency of being out of integrity with one's sovereign nature of being. In other words, the not self purpose, the resistance of anger, frustration, bitterness, disappointment. So when you're thinking about how the life is influenced, I want you to remember the nodes. The nodes are incredibly important and a big part of our practice if we were doing this professionally. For your self-study, incredible to see. So there is something that Ra was exploring in the history of geometry and in the PHS, primary health system, and rave psychology programs. It was in the lunar and planetary color analysis books, if you want to look into it, that the unusualness of the nodes because of the base orientation is something that he explored. Now, base, when you look at a classic human design chart, you'll see it in a tiny little square, okay, base. Your personality base orientation is eternal. It does not change. Personality sun, earth, base orientation is always going to be eternal. And then the body is always going to be one step behind. That has a relational dynamic to where, again, you be, how you see in crafting the nature of the illusion in your reality. So here's the square, okay, the personality base orientation. And you'll see a little number inside of the square that shows you next to your sun, earth, of what your eternal nature of being is. So the unusualness of the nodes is that, again, the north node is called the design link node. Okay, that's where your fixed star is, and that it's going to connect to your personality view. So watch how these energetic blueprints shift over to the relational field. The north node not only has that link node function, but it's also about learning or figuring out, besides your star, you look at the north node and you look at the link node and you see the relational variability between the two. I'm not going to go into all of that right now because Ra didn't want to, but it has to do with the relational field. So if we look back at the link node, the personality link node has a resonance to the body, the vehicle, as Ra would call it poetically. And then, and also to get us to the sense of, hey, your personality is just a witness, it's not the driver. Yes, your mind can influence, as in when you're not self, you can get yourself off track. And the signpost of that is frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment. When you're on track, you get the signature of the spirit, the abundance of spirit, that is a signpost of you being on track. Success, satisfaction, peace, surprise. So the design link node has an inherent receptivity to the personality. And in personality resonance, what we're looking at when we put it together with the personality link node on the other side, okay, so we're looking at personality base 3, design link node has an inherent receptivity to that personality. On the design base side, we're looking at the personality link node having a resonance to the vehicle. So we're looking at the way these two aspects function together within the holistic nature of the whole, and it's something that's studied in the advanced mechanics of human design. For our purposes here, we are only going to focus on the design link node because of its inherent receptivity to the personality. So personality influence is what stars represent, according to Ra. Personality influence. So in other words, if you're going to draw in transiting stellar activation, even though they transit quite slowly, in a transit, let's say we color them in black, and this is something that the personality has access to because of the receptivity of the design link node to this personality construct that we live in. So when we have an awareness of this, a lot of things start to fall into place, we'll say, because you can have an awareness of it. Normally, on the body side, we always say, this is the thing, according to Ra, this is something you have no access to, right? Your physicality. This is something other people see in you, or you broadcast unawares. Whereas here in the North Node, so where's your North Node? For me, it's 28.2, game player, risk taker. Yeah, shaking hands with the devil. This is the thing that this mind can bring as an awareness because of the resonance of the personality base orientation and the receptivity to the personality through the design link node. So the personality cannot change the trajectory of the life. Some things are genetically hardwired. Now, your personality can absolutely be influenced by the awareness of all of this conditioning, and the danger is when you believe the conditioning as I. So to bring it back to practicality, as a human being who was told experiment, one of my primary teachers in human design, the person I got all my readings from, Becky Markley, she had a defined throat awareness, okay, as far as her wavelength. And she also had a defined heart to G, but those two were separate. And even her, she said, she stopped initiating with her family. She stopped initiating talking. And because I followed suit, as in I experimented too with what is it like to stop initiating conversation. The person I was with all the time happened to be my current husband. And when I stopped talking, I could clearly see my mind screaming at me to try and influence his decisions so that I could be safe, so that we could be something, whatever it was that my mind wanted to be. So if you experiment clearly with your awareness of what your mind is saying versus what is correct for the body to say, be, do, this is the thing that's going to break you free from believing the ego I that lies. My personality ego I could see it lie. Still does, but I can see through the lie. So this is the thing that I really want for each of you to be able to see. Do not try to meddle, but just step back and witness what it is to be physically in this body, your own authority. Because the conditioning, the transits, the people that you're with, they are not you, but they influence you through and through. It does, it happens. You cannot unsee it once you study and you see. Trajectory as far as the path, the place and space that you happen to be, you carry this environment and this way of seeing everywhere that you go. Everywhere you be, you carry your nodes. They go with you. It's not a physical, like, oh, I have to go and live in China on the top of a mountain in a cave, if you're a caves person or whatever it happens to be, you know? It is not about that. It is about being embodied here and now and witness to the reality within and without around you, which is a reflection of you inside. So we know that if you are believing the ego I that lies, the mind inside, that life is going to shift for you in the negative, as in the disastrous danger of believing the lie of the mind, the personality only. And where do we get conditioning? In a single definition, obviously, it's going to be the centers. So hurry up, get everything done in order to avoid confrontation and truth, to be able to have the doubts be driving you is absolutely the foundation for Ra's angry making. So by experimenting with your own formulae, whatever you happen to be, you can see these things. And then what happens? You know that trip, you know that movie. You let go of trying to force or push whatever the not self mind is screaming at you inside of you that it thinks is true. So we're going to see that one of the ways that the linking system, this nodal linking system, remember North Node and South Node, because they are linking your self with self, I of who you think you are, with the physicality of the body, we're going to see how this connective field changes our relationship to ourself the longer that we experiment. The more that you experiment with being your own authority, the more the frequency calms and settles down, as in, there's no more turning yourself around. And my mind is linking to self-sabotaging that happens to be part of the old nature of this physicality in the nature of the mind running the show. So what we're looking at here is something that is a very advanced area of design. Please don't think that you have to understand how it all works or try to do this work with other people if you're happening to be in the analysis training program. For more information like this, it's in higher levels of analysis. The differentiation degree program would be one of the places that you can go if you're not one of those self-studiers. So what we're looking at is the ways that this linking system, the nodal linking system, breaks down when you're not operating in alignment. It doesn't, the gate 2, whether you have a planet or not, cannot hold you to you with the correct frequency. So if you're not being your own authority, you don't have the capability of seeing things clearly. Your perspective is always skewed. We call that distraction. And your personality awareness is always distorted. We call that transference, okay, on the personality side. Now, the personality is always going to transfer. It is a fundamental nature of what it is to be human, but you're not going to be there all the time or stagnant and stuck in it. It's a counterpoint to your view. It makes life interesting, but it's not the place of one's authoritative principle. It is simply seeing and then being aware. So of what is there or not there, the distraction, the distortion, the irrelevance of whatever it is the mind is pondering and spinning and cycling and trying to figure out. You can just go, I'm distracted. I'm transferred. Deep breath, this too shall pass. Watch it. It's a great movie, a great trip to be able to watch it rather than attempt to do something about it, which is the danger and is always going to lead you down that path of frustration, anger, bitterness, disappointment, resistance. Speaking from the nature of the frequencies of your not self. It's always going to speak with that voice. So that's how you bear witness to it and see through that view, that distorted view. So here we're looking at the potential of a star, to bring it back to present, being aligned to what is an influence in your life. The body, physicality, again, is the life. So the link node is the life being open to the personality's influence, which is part of the nature of what it is to be a binary.